Aloha, everyone. My name is Moses. I'm here to tell you guys a story. It's a quick story. The story is called Kane'apua, and it has to do with navigation. It also has to do with our gods and goddesses. It honors a few of them in this story. Hawaiians have over 40,000 gods, and this story kind of honors them as well as our navigators as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and start our story right now, which is entitled Kane'apua. Hanau kane he akua, hanau kanaloa, o ka he hauna velaia. Kane and Kanaloa, two gods from the mystical land of Kahiki. Many of our stories speak of their travels to Hawaii, creating springs of fresh water to be mixed into ava, the intoxicating drink of the gods. One story says that Kane and Kanaloa were siblings who came to live for a time on the island of Lanai with their youngest brother, Kane'apua. Kane? Kanaloa? Brothers? Is this the day we fly back to Kahiki? Oh, how I miss our home, the places, the sights, our family, Kahiki. Kane? Kanaloa? Kanaloa? Oh, I guess you two are busy. Well, I'll just go and fetch water for your ava, like I do every day. You see, Kane and Kanaloa could both transform themselves into birds, but Kane'apua could not. So he waited patiently for the day his brothers would fly him back home to Kahiki. Water, water, it's so hot. The sun is relentless on this island. In Kahiki, the sun is never too hot. It's always just right. And in Kahiki, I never have to hike so far to get water. There's water everywhere you look. Water to swim in. Water to bathe in. And water to drink. Uh-oh, Kane'apua drank too much of the water, so frantically he ran to the nearest shrub so he could take care of his pilikia. But the shrub was just uphill of the spring, so when he went to relieve himself, it trickled back down into the water below. Ooh, I better get this water back down to Kane and Kanaloa. They get really cranky when they don't have their ava. When he returned, the brothers were sitting, waiting for the kanoa to be filled. Kane'apua poured the water, mixed the ava, and served it to his brothers. Then suddenly, their eyes went big. Their faces paled as ava spewed from their mouths. They were outraged that Kane'apua defiled their water, and in a fury, they leaped high into the air, taking the form of birds, and they flew back to Kahiki. Brothers, wait! It was an accident. Oh, please don't leave me alone. I'm sorry for peeing in your water. Days passed, months went by, and the brothers never returned. How could they have left Kane'apua all alone, never to return to his homeland? He grew angry with them and vowed to find a way back to Kahiki to confront them. Then one day, while staring off into the distance, he saw the answer to his problem. It was a va'a, a canoe. But not just any canoe. It had two massive hulls carved from the trunks of ancient trees. The sails, shaped like crab claws, used the power of the wind to move it forward. This was a va'akaulua, a voyaging canoe made big and strong to travel great distances. Using his godly powers, Kane'apua reached out to commune with the kilo on board. Great Kilo, seer of things and reader of omens, I am Kane'apua. Tell me, wise one, who sails these waters? Wahanui is the chief of this va'a. He leads us to the land of Kahiki. Great Kilo, it is my desire to travel with your chief. I have great powers that can aid in this journey. Please, wise one, I require but a small spot upon the pola of the va'a. No, this va'a already has a kilo, me. And besides, there's no space upon the pola. Then, great Kilo, allow me to ride down below in the kino. No, the kino is full as well. Then what about the ama, or the iyako, or the manu? No, no, no. The Kilo denied every request that Kane'apua made, till finally he gave up. But just as the va'a began to sail away without him, he felt something in the air. Great Kilo, ehelimayanai kaino, a storm comes powerful indeed. Turn back and moor the va'a. How dare you? No one orders the Kilo of Wahanui. And besides, I feel no storm coming. And with that, they sailed on. But not long after, the winds began to build and build until a fierce storm engulfed the va'a, tossing it about. Supplies were soaked, lives nearly lost. The chief Wahanui knew then that Kane'apua was wiser than his Kilo. And when the storm finally died down, he was allowed on board. But day after day, the Kilo stared menacingly at him. One day, he stared so hard that he didn't notice the thick fog forming around them. This fog was sent by Kane and Kanaloa, who knew that their brother sought revenge. The fog grew so thick that no one could see. When it finally lifted, the men were terrified by what they saw. A dog, a giant dog stands upon the water. It is the dog of the goddess Hina, sent to devour us whole. I knew that Kane'apua was bad luck. Now we're all going to die. Great Kilo, that is no dog. It is Kane'unamoku, the hidden island of Kane. Those who have never sailed there are struck with fear by false illusions. E holomue Kane, sail on, and you will see. Though fearful, the chief Wahanui trusted Kane'apua, and as they neared the monstrous dog, it faded from view, revealing the beautiful and enticing island of Kane'unamoku. But that was not the island they sought. As the journey continued, days passed uneventful, but Kane'apua knew that his brothers would not allow them safe passage to Kahiki. So when they heard the low rumbling beneath the sea, he was not at all surprised. The rumbling grew louder and louder. The water around them began to churn as though something were rising to the top, something big. Then suddenly, a huge rock breached the surface of the water. It grew and grew and grew until a cliff 100 feet high stood towering above them. More rumbling was heard as a second cliff shot up into the air. For a moment, all was quiet as the men held their breath in wonder. Then suddenly, the two cliffs began to tremble. The cliffs, they're moving. They'll crash and crumble upon us. Kane'apua, wise one, use your powers, please. Save us. I know these cliffs. They are Paliuli and Palikea, two demigods sent by Kane and Kanaloa to destroy us. Ena kupua, heva olua, o Kane'apua no ina pepehiia nui ko hila ila, e hoi ke kaio Paliuli, e hoi ke kaio Palikea, mai hana ino yamako. The two cliffs heard the chiding words and halted moments before crushing the va'a, then shamefully receded back into the sea below. The men now shouted in excitement, thanking Kane'apua for saving their lives. But their hardest test was yet to come. To reach Kaiki, Kane'apua knew that they needed the help of someone powerful. So he dove into the water in search of Honunui Kua'ea'ea. She was a giant of the sea, an ancient turtle with great power. If she revealed her face, then she would help. But if she turned her massive back, they would all die. Into the deep he searched until he came upon what looked like a small mountain beneath the sea. It was her, Honunui Kua'ea'ea, the Ancient One. He stood before her massive shell and spoke. Grandmother! Grandmother? I am Kane'apua, your offspring. Please, grandmother, show me your face in my time of need. The shell began to move back and forth, kicking up huge clouds of sand. This massive creature could crush Kane'apua with the slightest move of her body. He began to panic and turned to swim for his life. But something stopped him. It was a feeling, calm, comfort. He turned around to see the eyes of his kupuna looking down upon him, eyes that held centuries of wisdom. Mo'opuna, it fills me with aloha to see you. I know why you have come. I have seen it. Your brothers are powerful indeed and control many elements, but I will help. Take this rope. It is made from my na'au, my insides. May it protect and secure you in your time of need. Now go forth, my kupu, and take with you the strength of your ancestors. The next day brought them to the land they sought, Kahiki. Using the rope of his ancestors, Kane'apua quickly moored the va'a. Then the air shifted, and his face paled with fear. He knew that his brothers possessed the ipumakani o La'amaumau, a thing of legend. La'amaumau was a woman who controlled all of the winds from Hawaii to Ka'ula. She put those winds into a gourd, calling upon each one by name, summoning their power at will. When she died, her bones were put into that same gourd, the ipumakani o La'amaumau. To hold that gourd is to hold power unimaginable. The winds came quickly. Kaua'ula the roaring, Olauniu the piercing, Kipu'upu'u that chills to the bone, all were unleashed upon them. When one gale ended, another would hit them even harder than before. The storm lasted for 10 days straight, but through it all, the rope of Na'au held strong, keeping them safe from sure destruction. When calm finally returned, not one life was lost. Na kuana uma kuana kupuna, mahalo ya uko. Thank you, my ancestors. You have kept us safe and guided me home. With all the confidence of a true God, Kane'apua stepped foot on his homeland. His brothers, thinking they had won, were drunk with ava, unable to move. So Kane'apua sent the chief Wahanui to stand upon their chests, signifying triumph. And in thanks for his help, Kane'apua gifted the chief with a pilikua, a magical creature with 2 heads, which he took back with him on his voyage back to Hawaii. Kane'apua stayed in Kahiki, content on his homeland and respected by his brothers. Now I end today's story with a traditional Hawaiian saying, which is pipi holo ka'ao. Let the sprinkled tales travel far. Mahalo for joining me, everyone. Once again, thank you so very much, everyone. My name is Moses. I am from the island of Maui, and I bring to you the stories of our kupuna, the stories of our ancestors. Aloha, everyone, and have a wonderful day.